We have a little bit of a echo here with the caller.
Hello?
Hey, there you go. Hey, what's up, caller?
Hello?
Yeah. Hey, do we have decent audio here, or are we still having issues with the audio? Hopefully, I have it fixed. Give me 1 second.
It sounds a little messed up, bro.
Okay, here we go. Now does it sound like I'm in the same room as you?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, usually it's easier if I have someone on the line to walk me through it. We won't have to do that again. Anyway, thanks for calling.
Uh-huh. So you talking about the wires right now, right?
Correct. We're talking about tomorrow. They're planning this Justice for J6 rally at the Capitol. They've put fencing up, so it looks like they're gonna do another 1-6.
Oh yeah.
This is a search for the edge, a new age of discovery. We will head south in search of new land. I have a need for freedom to explore far lands and sail the seas. Go beyond the edge of your mind. We have the very best sleeping bags. The best sleeping bags. I am a man from Earth.
Antarctica expedition.
We will head south. Could be a lot of ice. Will we hit a dome? Will we find more land? Will there be fast food? Will we possibly hit another coastline? Like the wise man Coolio once sampled, come along and ride on a fantastic voyage. There could be a lot of ice. Slide, slide, slippity slide.
Antarctica expedition.
We are pioneer people with pioneer hearts.
Antarctica expedition.
For those of you heading north, Polaris will guide you. The Holy Grail eyeball awaits. Astrolabe. Make babies under the green lights of the Aurora Borealis. A renaissance of exploration. The new age of discovery. The romantic frontier. To Antarctica.
Antarctica expedition.
I will also be bringing my astrolabe.
Antarctica expedition.
Do not fear. We have endless granola bars.
Antarctica expedition.
The search for the edge of your mind. We are free. Free to roam where we please.
Antarctica expedition.
We will head south in search of new land. The best sleeping bags.
Antarctica expedition. Antarctica Expedition.
We are on a flat and motionless plane.
Antarctica Expedition.
We have electric sweatpants.
Antarctica Expedition.
The penguin can be man's new best friend.
Antarctica Expedition.
All right, this track is Antarctica Expedition by Chief Crow and the Flat Earthworms.
We could make snow cones.
I think it's time to start talking about our exit strategy. Deep south. If things don't improve. Okay, let's see what we're looking at here. I have the chat open. We're joined by Victoria Panda. Nice song, haven't heard it before. Oh yes, you can find all of Chief Crow's music. Just Google it or click the link below. You can find him on all the different platforms. THY Lassener says, Tom Cruise better get his ass up there. Oh, Tom Cruise has already lost the space race for America. The Russians beat him. Major disappointment, if you ask me. I'm majorly disappointed. Tom Cruise had the chance to beat the Russians, and they beat us. They're right now, as we speak, 7 days, I think, into their movie in space. Unironically, they say they're filming the first movie in space, and this is under the assumption that space has never, ever involved movie magic in the first place. In other words, Apollo 11 wasn't a movie. You know, if you assume all that stuff to be real, then this is a big deal. But those of us who know about the movie magic involved, it's like, wow, this is just one in decades and decades and decades of bad science fiction films. But this one's going to be presented as real. So you have a couple categories of real. You got the real world that everybody lives in, which is actually fake. And then you have the real world, which is behind the scenes that you get censored for talking about. And then you have the real, and that's the one that we're in, because we know the difference. We know that the fake version and the real fake version are both fake. Rather, the approved version. So you have the approved real, which is fake, and then you have the real. I know it shouldn't be confusing for those of you who are still able to tell the difference visually, but most of the public has been rendered visually illiterate with regards to what is digital CGI and what is physically real. And this is going to be the topic of the upcoming IPS Cyber Symposium. This real versus fake thing is crucial to understand when you're trying to understand where this world's going and how we could all be headed into this direction, despite all common sense. But it doesn't matter how smart you are, how educated you are. If you've been rendered visually illiterate between, in other words, if you can't distinguish between a CGI object and a real object, you know, welcome to the club. They have fooled our senses. But some of us who have been paying attention before it got that sophisticated, I think, are still able to see through the illusion. And just as an example of how this thing works, the special effects guru for 2001 Space Odyssey, Doug Trumbull, talks about this quite a bit, about how physical objects like miniatures and scale models still look good decades later, whereas CGI from the 2000s, it tends to age poorly, and after 2 years, it's like it passes its expiration date. It just looks bad compared to contemporary and cutting-edge stuff. And NASA has suffered, I think, greatly for their use of CGI and getting rid of these older, time-tested methods of faking reality. And we are going to be talking about this because the difference is this. If you're recording a model, even if it's a small model, and presenting it as a full-scale model on a screen, you still have a real physical object. It's there. You didn't start from scratch. But when you're working with the computer generated realm, you're dealing with something that was fake to begin with. So they're starting from fake and working their way towards real. And they're just not there yet. And I think this is the reason why we have all this attention towards space right now with all these celebrities. You got Tom Cruise, you've got the Russian celebrities, you got on Wednesday, Captain Kirk. William Shatner on Wednesday will be going up there. I mean, again, if you want to believe it. I mean, my contention is that this whole thing is just a fertility rite, Mystery Babylon. This is the NWO religion, disguised as science, but it's the same as the old world religion. The New World Order is the old world order, just repackaged, kind of like the Jetsons. So the other day, and I played this on the previous live stream, William Shatner was talking to Anderson Cooper, and he described going into space, as in passing through the Kármán line, as, quote, inseminating space. I mean, that's what he said. He used the word, and that's exactly what it is. The space is the goddess, the sky goddess, Isis. It's the womb of the goddesses up above us, and the god is the earth god. So it's not even Mother Earth. They've misgendered the globe for decades. It's Father Earth. And the obelisk is his member. And he's dead because he's also represented by the sun, which dies. So when they put the obelisk up, which they've replaced with a rocket, it represents the union of the god and the goddess, the sky and the earth. And when they burn the rocket, burn the obelisk as a rocket and send it up into the sky, it's an even more poignant and dramatic ceremony. It's the conception rite so that they can give birth to the new son. Nothing new here. All right, let's see what else. Someone says Chief Crow is very prolific. Oh, yes, you have to also see his videos. In fact, I think the original video for Autohoax was censored. Okay, so let me go ahead and get through some of the fake news of the day. Fakeworld.news is where I put a lot of the links because I think it's important to keep track of all the main psyops, the dominant psyops of the day, to keep everything in context so we know where it's going. Just more brain laundry. And I think they hinted at that with the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie story. It's all about brainwashing. Time to do your brain laundry. If you look at the screen, you see the Baphomet logo, Lego character. Now, I don't think that they actually sell that yet, but they could. They could sell it because he doesn't violate Lego's new policy. Lego has a new policy. They're committed to removing gender bias from its toys because they say a gender bias is a harmful stereotype. Well, the Baphomet is actually, I guess, the best of both worlds, and it wouldn't violate any of that. So they can probably replace a lot of the construction workers and doctors and nurses and mothers and fathers with this Lego goat-headed figure, dual-gendered with bat wings. Makes perfect sense. That's from the New York Post. And the reason for this has nothing to do with protecting minority groups. Nobody would disagree here that minority groups need to be protected from tyrannical majorities, from institutionalized bigotry and prejudice. Nobody disagrees with that. I don't think that we're a hateful species. I really don't. But I think what happens is we get these demagogues who act like they are standing up for this or that small group, when in reality, it's all just a stalking horse to advance an attack on the individual. And that's where we're at right now. So I think what they're doing right now with the gender thing isn't about gender rights, I think, or LGBTQ inclusivity. I think it's actually about turning us all into grays, like aliens, is how someone in Discord put it today. You know, everything we're seeing is this black and white Masonic dialectic. That's what the Baphomet means, and the horns, the two horns. It's about duality. But moreover, they're doing this ritualistic, alchemical combining of the two to create one. And they've been doing this symbolically and ritualistically in many ways. So, for example, Twin Towers. Now it's one tower. Space Odyssey 2001 communicated this message. 2 into 1. Exercise 201, which preceded Corona. Again, 2 into 1. And the corona itself is the sun and moon, which you could say male and female, two into one. Corona is the eclipse when the two are combined. And this is why even at the beginning of Space Odyssey, you have the eclipse above the monolith that kicks everything off. None of this is coincidental. None of it. So just to give you an idea, I mean, in my opinion, of where this is going, I think it's about effacing individuality. It's not about protecting minorities, because the smallest minority is the individual. And I think World War III is actually targeting you. And I think Candace Owen, this actress who plays the role of a right-wing pundit, had actually stepped out and said something about this. She said, let me see if I can actually find it, because it's always interesting when these pundits are like noticing things that we've been calling out for several years. But also, she's one of these characters, and I say character advisedly, who has been found to have more than likely been an actor looking for a job, and they probably found this. But anyway, in one of her tweets, she had said something about this is like a new religion, and it's all about creating a war against the individual. This is World War III. And I'm like, you're just now noticing World War III started? It started on 3/11, 2020. And it's not the war of the Russians or Chinese or the communists versus the America. No, actually what we're looking at here, it's a war of the elite. And the elite are targeting the masses down to the level of the individual, and they turn the masses against the masses. Now, I said 3/11 because that's the day the pandemic was declared. And this is very important here. And I think this has been effaced, and it's been kind of missed. But just as the number 9/11 has extraordinary significance within the realm of predictive programming and coded fake news and psychological operations, 3/11 is even more important. I would say far more important. Okay, it looks like we're having audio issues. Good to know. I'm going to go ahead and address that now before we get too much further. So if you didn't know, the main computer hard drive crashed last night. So I'm kind of winging it now on a laptop. I won't be able to take calls either until I fix that hard drive. If you want to support the channel, I'll put a link in the chat. We'll just be back later on. I'm going to probably have to do some more stuff, but this was just kind of a test. I didn't actually want to send out live notifications because, like I said, I don't know if this is going to work out. But I'll be back soon. If you can support the channel, please do. We were on the same computer for almost a year and a half straight. Never turned it off. Multicasting, multi-streaming, 2 different audio streams, plus all the video stuff. And I think I killed it. I think I worked it to death. So anyway, thanks for joining. If you go to infiniteplanesociety.com, scroll down to the donate button, and I'm going to try to get that computer replaced as soon as possible. In the meantime, I'll work on this and hopefully have it fixed today. And maybe I can even get the phones to work. But I don't know. We'll see. Thanks again. And let me see if I guess the audio on the music's going to be just fine. This is Where's the Curve?
Where is the curve?
You know what, since I have a couple people here, I'm just going to do some tests live. Let me know how the audio is now. Okay, let me go ahead and cut the music for a moment here. If you're still in here hanging out, let me do some sound checks. Just let me know how the sound is. Okay, on a scale of... Okay, it was very low a minute ago. I think I might have it now. 5 out of 10. Okay. Just a moment here. You know, this is the strangest thing. When I first started streaming a few years ago, it was loud. And it seems like every subsequent computer and every new software update you've got to actually buy software to boost your volume to be heard. It's the weirdest thing. Let me get my megaphone out. Okay, so the volume's still low. Still low. Thank you. By the way, I have live transcription. I used to do transcription after the live stream. I would take the file and I'd put it through the software, and I would. It was kind of a painstaking process, but worth it in terms of search engine optimization. But I have found a way to get live transcripts that are accurate and doesn't cost you $300 an hour. I almost don't want to say, because, you know, I'd probably destroy a lot of business opportunities for people, but I'm also about open source, and I kind of think that bottlenecking stuff is just bad for progress. So anyway, the future is voice to text. I know writers who struggle to write 3,000-4,000 words a day, and I can do 10,000 by augmenting with voice to text. But really the trick is, I think, one, you have to have a decent mic to make sure it gets all of the words mostly correct. And then you also have to have Grammarly, the pro version, so you can do real-time corrections. But with that, and this is the secret, speechnotes.com. Speechnotes.com, 100% free, and it is by far better than any of the paid software that I've tried. So I have a junk computer, a little old Chromebook there, with my Yeti plugged in, and all day long, 24/7 a day, it's taking dictation. And then I can just copy and paste entire bodies of text and put it to where it's relevant. And I keep it organized. Most of it can be automated. And that's not all it can do. I mean, you can even do your punctuation, period. And it'll add your punctuation. But anyway, speechnotes.com, it's one of these productivity things. And there's a few other things about it too. I was talking to Crater Earth about this via Facebook chat, about different things that I've been doing that I think would be useful for other people. And I'm starting a Facebook group for anybody who's involved in content creation, online business, podcasting, live streaming. I have a separate Facebook group that I started it, and I'm just going to use it to share information with other people who might find it to be interesting. Like, here's something you might find interesting. Here we go. The Spotify platform. Most of you may know Spotify. They're now taking video. They're going to have video podcasting starting like in 3 or 4 days. And I was one of the first ones to be opted into that program. So very soon we'll be open to 400 million users on that platform. And I haven't talked about this much lately, but the one second here. Oh yes, okay. The numbers are better than they were back when we were just doing this on YouTube. Even though YouTube is continually killing our channels or whatever, it's mostly a joke at this point. Most of our numbers are coming from other platforms, and many of them are new. We're new to Sounder FM, by the way, which does live closed captioning on all the podcasts. So if the mic's low, like it is now, you'd still be able to read it. Is the audio still bad? Let me check in the chat. Still low? Okay, so I'm going to continue to work on this again, like I said, while I'm live. And possibly we'll test out the phones. We'll see if I can get some feedback here. Okay, we're going to compare the audio to from the background to my microphone audio. Here we go. This is, according to here, we're level.
I'm on auto hoax and it feels so good.
Okay, so I think I might have to get some audio boosting software. That's what I had to do on my other computer, the one that just crashed. Okay, let's see. How do I boost the sound? There might be some other options here. Let me go ahead and see if there's anything already available here. Windows key S. Okay, I'm going to go through my settings and see if I can do it.
Believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy, my buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
96, y'all.
Gonna filter your eyes and scrub your mind. The weatherman.
Okay, so apparently we have audio issues. It's too low to be heard. I could try speaking louder. The main maybe it's a different mic. I could try a different mic setup. Let's do that for a moment here. We'll try the desktop mic. Okay, so let's see. Does anybody know any software? Anyone have any software recommendations for audio boosting? I mean, I'd much rather be focused on content than this type of stuff, to be honest with you, which is why I'm considering taking about a week off, and I'll focus on the symposium, sell some art, buy a new computer, come back better than ever in about a week or so. But I'm trying to do both, honestly. My original plan was to take a week off and fix everything, but I don't want to take the time off. By the way, I just got the phone number fixed, so that had been down for a while. I just got the phone back up. So the last thing I want to do is back down now. Okay, audio too low on laptop. I'm just going to put mic audio too low. If anybody here has any tech experience and you have any ideas on how to boost the audio on a microphone, let me know.
He's just another bad joke. You can be a doomed little donkey.
And it has to be good audio because I'm on so many platforms now that I don't want people on Spotify and some of these other platforms to not sign up because they can't hear me. So it's not just my, well, no, I turned the music down. It's all the apps I'm using. Okay, well, if anybody here has any tech experience and they can tell me concisely what course of action you would take if you were me to try to boost the sound of the microphone. Because it might be something in the settings. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Like Eeyore. I'm gonna be an auto hoax. Auto hoax. And it feels so good. Yeah. You just ought to believe everything like I knew that you would. Like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time. Ain't got time.
live, then you could possibly use software like Audacity to boost the volume of it after recording. You may also need an external power supply depending on the mic you have for it to work properly, so search for your make and model of microphone to see if this is the case. Now moving on to the main fixes, the first method will be to boost the microphone within the sound control panel. To get to the sound control panel, first go to the main settings page, which can be accessed by clicking on the cog icon from within the start menu. In settings, click on system, and then sound. Now find where it says sound control panel. It should be in blue and on the right side of the window. In the sound control panel, go to the recording tab, which should be the second option. Find the microphone you want to boost from the list and double click on it. Now go to the levels tab. Hopefully in this tab you see at least two options. There should be a 0 to 100 slider and a boost slider. Increase the
Masky, masky. Do you feel the shame when you put that diaper on your face? You're masky, masky. I bet you feel so safe. You follow all the rules and you signal the virtue of your ways.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the music up a little bit.
You've been fooled. Yeah, your shepherd has led you astray. And now you're lost. Better get down on your knees and pray. I bet you got more gallons worms inside of you. And I know you want to get
Okay, so I'm pausing the music for just a moment, and if you're still in the chat, appreciate you hanging out and helping me get this straightened out. So I went into the settings and I did what the tutorial suggested, and I've adjusted the microphones, and it seems like it possibly might be louder. Mic audio. Again, the I might, if this doesn't work, what I'll do is I'll find some software and see if I can improve it. I might try a different microphone too. That might be the answer right there. Maybe it's a different mic. Still low. Okay. You know, let me try a different microphone. Seems like the cheaper mics always outperform the newer mics. I've got a $5 dollar store mic that I use for 90% of my work when I'm not live. I take it with me. It's in my bag. It gets plugged into my phone. It's one of those simple jack mics, and it has better audio than these things that I actually put money into. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch out those. Okay, how's this one sound? This one might be louder. Anyone? Victoria says it's lower than ever. Is this one low? Someone says okay. How about a scale of 5 to 10? Okay, 5 is acceptable, 10 is perfect. So this one's louder. See, this is the crazy thing. You spend a little bit more to get the one that has the volume switch on the cord and all this other stuff, and it seems like, what is it? If it's not fixed, no, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Well, there's a lot of people fixing a lot of not broken shit. All right, well, there we go. Now we know. This would have been nice to have known a few months ago when I was getting software for the other computer to make that a decent volume. Okay, so let me go ahead and also write down the name and brand of this mic because I'm going to put one on my... This is a Logitech. Alright, so everyone, this is just for your reference. Logitech mic under $30 is outperforming the MPAL mic that was probably twice that. Cheap Logitech. Says sound is rough, but you're louder. That's fine. I would rather have audible than not audible. Okay, good. And this one does have a mute button. Now let me go ahead and balance it with the background music, and this is Masky Masky by One Eye Jack and the Murder Hornets. By the way, the Murder Hornets, you can get all their videos and all their music and all their lyrics, and I think there's some swag there. Here's a link. Katie says, who sings Masky Masky? Yeah, it's the Murder Hornets band. Lots of treble. Okay. These are all things I can probably fine-tune here in OBS, which I'm going to try to do here shortly. How's this? How is this? Still a lot of treble? Because it might have been like I might have just fixed it. I think I might have just fixed it. But anyway, let me get to the Masky Masky. It's the Murder Hornets band. I'm going to balance the audio out.
Destination two. Can't think for yourself because your brain's been washed. You mesky, 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 mesky,
Okay, so I believe that's probably loud enough. We can do this. Yeah, so last night or yesterday, the hard drive. Last night I was starting a live stream and I was about to send out notifications, and the hard drive crashed. And I went through all the troubleshooting procedures, and I might have killed it. It might just be a cord, but whatever it is, the solution's going to be days or weeks away because I'm going to have to order new cords or something. I didn't lose anything. I've been working on the upcoming symposium, and I'm purposefully not saying a lot about it because I don't want to give the enemy a heads up about anything, really. But this first one's going to really, I think, establish what these symposiums are and what they're about. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, the IPS think tank, which it's not an echo chamber. We're always open to not necessarily debate, but debate, conversation, discussion, all the above. And the symposiums are actually, this was kind of inspired. He may not know this. Tim Truth. He said he can't find anything as far as materials that would suggest the space station is just a bad movie. Most of that content's being removed faster than it's uploaded, and that I may have it warehoused here. Others might, but it's not out there. So if you didn't already know that it was questionable, or that there's even a reason to think about it or care about it, you wouldn't find out. It's like the fences of the walls have already gone up around the truth again. They've managed to close it, wall it up in, and they pushed the public back into a big echo chamber. YouTube became MSM Tube. And what that did was that took this area where everyone was putting their user-generated content, original ideas, original conversation. I mean, the stuff that people were coming up with in these live discussions at night, not just on the topic flat Earth, but just questioning everything. It was very interesting. But it was far more interesting than the contrived entertainment, like X-Files type conspiracy theories. UFOs, people get tired of Bigfoot, flying saucers, alien abductions. That stuff's all government propaganda anyway. Look up Miragemen. It's an established fact that the Air Force pretty much invented all the good alien conspiracy theories. And they worked hand in glove with the entertainment media like X-Files to set your expectations for future psyops. So anyway, the mass media, having lost its stranglehold over culture, mass culture, they took over YouTube all over again. And now they censor everything that doesn't fit within their echo chamber. And that's what I mean by an echo chamber. It means that they're closed to new information, kind of like climate scientists. Climate scientists say that since 97% of them believe, 97% of scientists believe, not know, they believe in global warming, therefore it's real. So within their echo chamber, it will always be true. Now, if those 3% were to come in the door, it would break the harmony, and it would no longer be a scientific consensus. It would no longer be settled. Then the money would stop and everything else would dry up, and so they had to make the rule here. We're going to censor climate denialists. So you're a climate change denialist if you have facts that don't fit into their echo chamber. And it's not just climate science, it's everywhere where you have this mentality of rule by consensus. So the think tank concept is different than an echo chamber in a few significant ways, namely in that it's open to new ideas, because you don't get thoughts, you just get memorization when you're in a closed system. So it's an open system. New thoughts, meaning new people, new ideas, wrong, right, ideas that challenge what we have. It's all good. The idea is it keeps moving. So unlike a chamber, like a dungeon, an echo chamber, a locked prison cell, the tank is mobile. And that's one of the ideas behind the imagery here of the think tank. And finally, it has a turret. And that's because it's a weapon. And it's meant to destroy popular misconceptions. Sacred cows. You also have the tracks of the tank to run over the sacred cows. My point being, it's a mobile think tank, open to new ideas, and it's the opposite of the MSM created echo chambers of social media, well, regulated social media. So these symposiums are going to be probably monthly, and they're going to build off of what we already do and what we already discussed, but we're going to go into more detail and to fulfill a certain need, that is content that's been burned, buried, and marginalized. So there are people who want this content. They want to know how we arrived at these conclusions, and they're not going to be able to reverse engineer it because, well, the bridges have all been burned. There's 105 YouTube channels into this thing, and the only way to put everything into place, I think, is to consolidate it into a symposium, and that's what we're doing. So we're getting all of our best material on whatever topic we're covering for that particular event. So the one that's happening on October the 23rd, it'll be virtual, but if you're here, if you happen to be here where I live, you can probably meet us there, but this one's mostly virtual, and it's because it's kind of a pilot. We're not looking at expensive venues. I'm looking at like there's some libraries around here where you have conference rooms free. So we're not looking to, this is not a conference in that sense. We really want to focus on putting our best material forward, and that when you exit this thing, you spend a few hours focused on one topic, a symposium, you should exit this with more information than what you left with, and conclusions, hopefully. And I think this will be conclusive. And that's what I mean when I say that we have a turret, the weapon here. It means that we're actually going to attempt to make a definitive case that we've killed this or that icon, idol, sacred cow. And that's the point. So this one will be the space station. The next one will probably be pointed at certain events, maybe even crisis actors in general, maybe climate change. But each one of these will focus on a different event. Now here's the other side of it, and this is what makes it into this think tank, is that we have our live stream, and we're all here discussing these different things. And in this one, we have something big planned, but like I said, I'm not going to, the big picture here, and I think it'll work. And like I said, there's a few things about this, but you will have the live event premiering a lot of this material that we've put together, and as it's being curated and as it's being premiered, we'll have the chat room and the interaction there. Phones will be open, and it will also be open to people that we have there physically present if they want to challenge, debate, or whatever it may be. I mean, a lot of people are very triggered by these topics, and I would be happy to invite and have people join us who are very much against it. Like there are certain people from the news media that I would like to invite. There are people from maybe even the planetarium. Hey, you want to come down and watch a 2-hour symposium where we're going to cover the 22-year history of the ISS? Because I think it's worth looking at. So the context for this one will be the 22-year retrospective on the space station. And along with this 22-year thing, we're going to be grouping it into segments and comparing and contrasting the effects. And this is where I think it's going to be most useful, though. At the end of it, all of the videos that comprise the symposium will be downloadable. Because like I said, everything's being censored. So I'm carefully not throwing certain words. This isn't about flat Earth. This is about the space station. And it's just a deep dive into their 22-year blooper reel. So I'm aiming to keep it from being censorable. And I want the content that we create and we put into this to be mirrored and to be shared. Because all of the decent content that you can find, it's just so spread out. You know, you search ISS green screen glitch, and you're going to find 50 paid government shills telling you how the people who see green screens are crazy. So this is a pushback against a lot of the resistance to these ideas even being discussed honestly. Going through some comments. Psyopsicle says, my desktop sound a little faded. Sound check, good to go. Audio levels are balanced well. Jordan says, will there be pillows? You know, that's actually a good idea, the pillow thing. And I actually have a pillow supplier that I've been talking to. And we do have Xbox designs. And I was thinking about some type of IPS symposium pillow, like so you can get comfortable while you're listening from your home. If you're on Patreon, you will be in. You will not. If you're signed up to Patreon, you will be into whatever I do, whatever we're involved in. That's your key. It's your pass. But I'm trying to invite the general public as well. And my objective here is to get at least 100 people to watch the live event. And there are some key people locally I'd like to get to show up. I do have help coming from other people who've helped with other events. But this isn't really big on the local event. You know, this is really about a concentrated 3 or 4 hour period to focus on one event. And again, out of it comes content, new analysis, new material that can be shared and analyzed and maybe even debunked. My intention here is to create something to be discussed and to challenge the people who think that they've already saved the space station by calling the people who notice the obvious movie magic crazy or lunatics. And I don't want to give away too much about it, but this is the main thing. You have 22 years. And over the course of 22 years, certain features, certain things about it have changed. Certain procedures, the way certain things look. And when you examine it in context and you do a lot of comparing and contrasting, there are changes that you would expect to be commensurate with advancing video technology. But that's different than changes in how people float around. The way people float around in 2021 should be the way that they floated around in 2002. Space doesn't change, the camera changes. And what I'm putting together here, I think, will kind of reveal that no, it was not merely cameras that were getting better. It's not just high definition cameras, but in fact, we're looking at new movie magic techniques being implemented over time. And this was very obvious when they started using augmented virtual reality. And this is one of the other key takeaways here, is that if you don't know what special effects can do, then you won't know you're looking at a special effect. This is how magic tricks works. And 99% of NASA is just a magic show. In fact, I have this clip. I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I have it available here. I think I have it here. If I don't, I'll pull it up later. Actually, I'm going to save it for the event. Magic. There are so many things that they do. They do actual magic shows on the ISS. But, I mean, like we all know about green screen magic. In fact, I just saw something yesterday, or some news report, where a woman is walking behind the reporter and she disappears when she walks in front of a green dumpster. I wonder why that would be. It's like she recycled herself. No, but what happened was, I think the green screen, the chroma key, or whatever, had some kind of a glitch. The types of stuff we've seen on the ISS. But there are other things. Like people say, well, there's no way you could fake 1/6 Earth's gravity. There's no way they faked that with slowing the footage down. There are other ways. And there are things that they can do now with wires and cords that remove the need even for spacewalks to be performed underwater. You know, the theory is that the astronauts are all underwater now, and they're faking the spacewalks, and that's why you see the bubbles. Well, that may have been true for a long period of time. However, I think they've phased out the swimming pools. And I think the next iteration, what we're seeing now, is all being done in a room kind of like The Mandalorian when you look into special effects. So we'll be discussing special effects in context, showing comparable feats being performed. In fact, I got a great section I'm developing on hair and hair through the decades. Like the way your hair looks in outer space in 1970, 1980. You have long hair, you're waving it around. Would it look fundamentally different in 10 years, 20 years? You wouldn't think so. But everything's changing. You know there's wind in space now, according to the Chinese. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through a couple things here. So the symposium, like I said, it's going to be on the 23rd. You'll be the first to know if you're listening now. And I have it all being developed here in canva.com, which is a great website. In fact, camera.com is canva.com, like canvas without the S. It's the place where you take all your final GIFs and videos and you put your final composition into like a presentation. And now it allows you to directly import YouTube videos. So for example, here I am live. I'm going to search videos. I'm going to put down ISS green screen. So let's say you're doing some kind of a, here we go. Anyway, you can source your material directly from YouTube. And you know, interestingly enough, I actually found here space station footage. You can actually get a CGI space station and put it into any one of your movies. And it looks realer than the one that NASA uses. You can take the background out. You can do quite a lot with it. It certainly looks realer than what they were using 5 years ago. And that was one of the points that Douglas Trumbull made, the special effects guru, about how fast CGI is evolving and how it leaves what was cool a couple years ago behind so fast. All right, okay, so I'm going to be back. I'm glad we fixed the audio. It's all about the mic here. It was the mic that made the difference. And we have a couple of other things. So I'm working on the symposium. I'm going to be saving up money to repair the computer. It's not a huge priority now that I've got this working, so I'm glad we did this. I didn't want to miss anything. There's a couple of daily podcasts that are going to be going into production, so you'll catch those. And then the final thing I need to do is I need to get the phones fixed. So I just got to download the phone software. The 800 number is fixed as well. So I think I'm going to be able to make this IdeaPad into the new main computer. Thanks everyone for sticking around and helping me fix everything. Oh, there's a sign up for the newsletter. The robot just put it in there. If you want the newsletter, it goes out every day or other day. And I'm putting all the links. There's so much going on right now. I'll have to come back now that everything's fixed, and we will go through it all. Anyway, welcome to the fourth quarter of 2021. God, I got a few more things I have to do here, memes I have to share with you before we go. This Dr. Wen one is killing me. Physician who's become a leading voice in the COVID pandemic, MSM analyst, blaming anti-vaxxers. She's one of these ones polarizing the anti-vaxxers. You can't leave your house without a mask, etc. Can't leave your house, period, because it's not constitutionally protected for you to travel. Anyway, she also was searching for her husband after the Boston bombing. She was a president of Planned Parenthood and a member of the CFR. So you just have a ruling class puppet. I mean, think about this. What are the odds that you have someone on the CFR, president of Planned Parenthood, polarized against anti-vaxxers, this major MSM puppet, also part of the Boston bombing? So many of these puppets are just being exposed left and right. We'll be looking into that one a little bit more as well. All right, this is been fun. I appreciate everyone helping me get this thing fixed, and I'm gonna reboot everything and get the phones back on. I think I'm just gonna put this back on over to the archives for now. Again, I'll be testing the phones before I go live, so we won't have to do any more of this live tech support stuff.
There is no cliff, all you will know. Blackbird moves on to the new sun of dawn.
All right, that's The Edge is in Your Mind. Chief Crow. If you want the links to that track, I put it in the chat below. It is October the 7th, 2021, starting a little earlier than last night. Actually, it's just about midnight, so we'll just call this 10/8. Let me see who's in the chat. We have a couple of really good updates, by the way. Very interesting, exciting updates. One of them, and this is something I've been waiting to hear news on, we have a development with the Kenosha story, with Kenosha Kyle and his trial coming up. And we've been looking with great interest to see, is there any evidence for this thing being real, for it being anything other than a psyop? We're talking about live action theater. And if you're not familiar with the Kenosha case, we're talking about the 3 days of riots in August 2020, which were brought to an end by Kyle Rittenhouse and his militia group who went down there to disrupt the mob, in the course of which he shot 3 individuals. 2 of them died. Now, one of them died doing something he loved, and that would be Rosenbaum, who died chasing a minor. I mean, these weren't people that you could really feel sorry for. The other guy was a strangler, and Gage got shot in the bicep, allegedly. And the video would seem to corroborate this. However, there are these things called squibs. And if you don't account for the existence of squibs, you can't really know whether or not something is real. And it's very important to understand movie technology and special effects if you want to understand your nightly news. It is that bad. Your nightly news has access to and will use all of the same special effects that you would see in your entertainment. They're just not as good. I mean, crisis actors are called crisis actors. They're called out because they're so bad. You're not supposed to know they're acting. Now, they're not SAGs, Screen Actor Guild card members. I think they're all GAGs, is what I'd call them. Government actors, usually informants, people who don't have a choice. And it is interesting also to note that all of these individuals who were shot in Kenosha had extensive criminal backgrounds. And so here we have an update with Gage, who was charged with his second DWI. So if you have a problem with a highly trained police academy cadet wannabe Kyle Rittenhouse, and again, he's training with the militia. So if you have a problem with a militiaman carrying a weapon, but you don't have a problem with a guy driving around drunk with a 2,000 plus pound weapon, then your priorities are kind of screwed up. You're more likely to get run over by Gage Grosskreutz than you're likely to get shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. And you're only going to get shot by Kyle Rittenhouse is if, I guess that could only happen, and it only did happen in the instance of a riot in which he was being attacked.